Hello, it's Sunday, which means it's PGA Championship week on the Big D podcast. Before I bring in today's special guest, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. We'll be lacing it up with some drivers, 3-woods, and maybe a wedge or two. So check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple. So joining us as he's done for the players and the Masters is my friend from the UK, Tom Jacobs. Tom, what club are you bringing for the PGA Championship this week?
You're going to need a driver everywhere, right? You're going to need drivers on par threes here. That's well, I would anyway. Professionals don't. Yeah, there's a 251-yard par three, I think, this week. And yeah, I'm not getting there unless I take the big dog out. So yeah, it's a driver. That's going to be the theme of the week. I think the wedge could be important as well. So two very important clubs this week at Southern Hills, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting week to see a golf course that we haven't seen at this level since 2007.
Yeah. Also, don't forget the two par fives that are almost a quarter mile in length. One's over 650 and one's over 630.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the first time in a major, right, that there's potentially not going to be people going for par fives in two. I think that's a pretty good estimation. I think one of them they probably will be able to get to with downwind and things like that, and some of the bigger hitters. But Kevin Kisner's going to be laying up for three shotters both times this week. It'll be a Zach Johnson Masters special.
It worked well in 2007. And speaking of 2007,
it works well.
The last time that Southern Hills hosted a major championship was the 2007 PGA, where Tiger won. And I remember that week in Tulsa as being, one, stupid hot, and two, nobody went for distance that week because they all knew the rough would be penal. If you hit it in the rough, you were basically chipping out like it's a U.S. Open.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to quite get it that way this year. I think they've said that they've taken out a load of trees, so it's no longer parkland. They reckon that the rough is not going to be able to grow as it used to because now we're into May and Tulsa doesn't allow that because of the heat. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the accuracy is important this time around. As we tend to do, Dylan, with every other golf tournament on the PGA Tour, I think we'll be favouring distance this time around.
Yeah, and one other thing from what I've seen with this Gil Hanse design, and by the way, if you want a preview for the U.S. Open, which is also in Gil Hanse design in Brooklyn outside Boston, I think this course is going to play quite different. The course for one is way longer than it was 15 years ago. It's like 7,500 yards. Secondly, it looks like the fairways are going to be wider. So yeah, you'll have more room to avoid the thick stuff. But to me, everyone's talked about Augusta being a second shot golf course. This week, Southern Hills is going to be a second shot golf course. Because if you're not accurate with your second shot, you're not hitting the green.
And they're really small greens, right? I think I can't remember exact square footage, but they're closer to Pebble Beach than they are anywhere else, which is a good sign that they're going to be some small hit greens. And whereas Pebble Beach is kind of 7,000 yards, this is 7,500. So interestingly enough, I think it's the around the greens that are going to be really tough because there's a lack of rough. You've got those kind of runoff areas, probably similar to the Masters. So hello, Victor Hovland. It could be a tricky week for him. It's going to be drive and pound it, and I think it's going to come down to the scrambling. I think ultimately, Dylan, I think the biggest defense for this golf course this week is the weather. We're hearing that there's going to be 20-25 mile an hour winds steadying up to 50 mile an hour gusts, which is mad, right? I think it's been the windiest spring in the wherever it is in America that Oklahoma's, I'm terrible at geography, but wherever it is that is located, there's been particularly windy there this year. So interesting to see how that plays out.
And by the way, you may not know, but May is tornado season in Oklahoma, so just add a tornado or two to make this major even twistier.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't help these players, especially the ones that are already short off the tee. They've got to contend with some wind as well. It could be a tough week. Although, as we always think, Dylan, when we look at these Bombers golf courses, there's always going to be a Kevin Kisner or a Zach Johnson or someone of that ilk turning up. So I wouldn't rule out the Kevin Nars and the Kevin Kisners just yet.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wind for next week, and it's going to be 8, 16, 12, 16, 17, 12, 11, with all kinds of changing weather. Oh, just make another big time golf event with wind.
Turn on the turbines and let's go. I think it should be a really good major. I think that, we've seen recently with the PGA Championship that, it can vary in scores. We had 6 under win at Kiowa. I mean, that was obviously all wind related, but we had 8 under at Bethpage Black, which is similar length of golf course, and par 70 as well. That was 8 under with Brooks Koepka. Justin Thomas won 8 under at Quail Hollow. So even Morikawa winning at 13 under at Harding Park, which is probably a much more scoreable course than this one. I think we could be looking at sub double digits this week. We could be looking at 8 or 9 under par.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're looking at another 7-8 under par major, because the PGA Championships have become harder and harder. They've been not like US Opens, but more like mini US Opens with all kinds of rough, changing weather conditions, and they're just making the greens a little faster, a little harder, and a little spicier.
I think people are getting disillusioned with the US Open a little bit, because it is just all about distance. And the scoring at Pebble was 13 under, and the scoring at Erin Hills was 16 under, and Rory McIlroy won at Congressional at 16 under. I know the last 2 have been 6 under, which is more like what they want. But I think the PGA is slowly catching up in terms of popularity and scoring, because it can offer those different tests.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have a replay of 2018 of that 2018 PGA where Brooks Koepka and Tiger blazed the golf course, but we'll save it for when St. Louis gets another major. So heading to Tulsa, who is looking good? Because let's see, Scotty Scheffler has won everything this year. He's won in Arizona, won won in Florida, won the match play, won the Masters. Can he do it? Can he win another major this year?
I think he probably can, right? I think that he looked like he was getting off to a slow start in the Byron Nelson, and all of a sudden he's inside the top 10 going into the final round. And whilst I don't think he can win, because I think everyone can kind of break away, and he's still 5 back. I mean, if he goes and wins again this week, then I don't know what you do, right? I mean, he is just absolutely phenomenal. He had this kind of potential. We knew that. Ted Scott come on the bag, and I think that made a ton of difference. And I'd spoken to you for the Masters, then I sort of said that I'd kind of pivoted off Scotty Sheffield to go for Justin Thomas, and lo and behold, that was one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my golf betting career. So it's one of those, right? I think it's very difficult to rule him out. I think Rory McIlroy is playing well at the right time. I really like Dustin Johnson. I think Dustin Johnson's going to be overlooked. I think people are very down on Dustin Johnson at the moment. He's obviously not playing to the way that he was when he was world number 1, right? But he's just shot another Saturday 66 at the Byron Nelson. I know it's probably like level par for that golf course at the moment, but I think if he goes and shoots a 65, 64, like we saw him, shoot a really good round at the Players Championship, then I think he could have a good week next week, because he has all the right skill set.
Yeah, Powell, we know what his wedge game can be. The problem is, can he putt the stupid golf ball? And that's going to be the key with a bunch of guys. Can you putt the bleeping golf ball? Because I think Dustin Johnson fishes course to a tee, because because we'll talk about it in a little bit, but this course has got a lot in similar to the 2014 US Open at Pinehurst, which underwent a big time renovation before that US Open, and DJ played well this week. I think this course is going to play. I think DJ is definitely a contender. And you know who else is back and playing well, not just in Byron Nelson, but playing well in spring? Jordan Spieth.
Yep. Jordan Spieth.
And a lot like Rory McIlroy at the Masters, Jordan Spieth needs to want to make up for his Grand Slam.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think people would have been a little bit down on Jordan Spieth at the start of the year, right? He wasn't playing his best stuff, and I was one of those. And all of a sudden, he's got a win. He's led tee to green in 2 of his last 3 starts. He played fine. Miscut the Masters, obviously a little bit concerning. He's never done that. But I think with the PGA Championship, it's not. There's no reason why he can't win it. He's not the longest, but he can get it out there, and his driving has actually really improved, which has been the main part of his kind of uptick in form. So do I think Jordan Spieth can win the PGA Championship? Yes, I definitely do. I think the fact, the determination that he's going to have to win this championship, early on in his career, he'd already had a second and a third. He'd already had 2 top 13 finishes in the PGA Championship. Last couple of years, I think it's kind of waned in him a little bit, that he's been a little bit out of form, and it is just the one major that he's got left to win. But he's going to have, another 10, 15 chances at winning it. So you'd have to think the odds are in his favor.
Yeah, especially if he's driving. If this is going to be a second shot recovery golf course, I mean, Jordan Spieth can make it from anyone.
Yeah, he's exceptional right now, and it's actually good. Like I'm normally quite down on Jordan Spieth because I think that the hype train gets built up too quickly, and I kind of try and go against the grain slightly, but it is definitely better when he's in contention. You're now going to get a major championship with Jordan Spieth and Tiger Woods both at the forefront of everyone's minds, and that certainly leads to more headlines.
Yeah, you imagine a Tiger Jordan Spieth pairing on Thursday and Friday.
That might break golf.
I think it would, because you would have probably the two most popular golf firms playing the first 36 holes together.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Right? I don't think Tiger Woods is going to be able to, contend, but I didn't think he was going to do what he did at the Masters either. So we don't know what to expect with Tiger Woods. I don't think I have any strong Tiger Woods takes this week.
Which guy do you think is due for a breakout this week?
I mean, Victor Hovland needs to have that one kind of major championship week where he really contends, right? I think that's going to be huge. I just worry about around the greens, right? I think that's a real problem for him right now. Shane Lowry is a player that, although he's already won his major championship at the Open, I do think he's going to get that kind of victory at some point soon that his play has been deserving of so far. So I don't know. And then you kind of go further down the list, and you've got the likes of Max Homer and Corey Connors that are playing really good golf. That, especially in Homer's case, he's never played well at the major championship. So it's about time he kind of changed that. And everywhere that he plays good golf kind of leads to him having a good week here.
I've got 2, and one of them's easy, and then one of them is a little lower down. I can't believe Justin Thomas hasn't won anything with how well he's struck the ball. I mean, he struck the ball in every kind of weather condition known to mankind. We all remember that crazy run on the Players where he somehow didn't make a bogey. And be honest, if Justin Thomas could putt, I think he'd win. I think he'd win about every golf tournament.
He was certainly in the John Rahm mold, right? Where John Rahm obviously finally won at the Mexico Open, finally found out how to putt again. That's all it is for Thomas, right? That if Justin Thomas putts well, he's going to contend. He's already up there, tied 4th at the Byron Nelson right now as we go into the final round. Just shot his lowest round of the week. It was 64 on Saturday. So I kind of got all in on Justin Thomas at the Masters because it looked like he was finally going to break through there. Is he going to break through? I mean, this is the major championship he's already won, right? So it would make sense. The golf course is going to suit him. I don't think Justin Thomas really finds golf courses that don't suit him. I think to your point, he really is surprising that he hasn't won one so far. So he's certainly due.
And you know what? How about Cam Young this year? Because
Cam Young is definite. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that guy has come to play this year. Second to Genesis, third at the Heritage, second at the Wells Fargo. That guy is blazing hot right now and true. He missed the cut of the Players, missed the cut of the Masters, but I feel Cam Young is one of these young golfers ready to break out.
Cameron Young is, I mean, the only thing in terms of DraftKings, Dylan, is that he will be very popular. But in terms of betting, it doesn't matter how popular he is. If you all win, that's great. Hasn't yet, I mean, done it at the major championships. He's only played 3, which is obviously not a lot. He's missed 2 cuts at the US Open, but certainly a different player now. And he missed a cut at the Masters, which I was a little bit disappointed about. I was very keen on him for that. And I think this time around, he's only going to be more popular because, he's been second and third since then. Is it one of those ones where we get too excited about him and he doesn't do it? I don't know. I think the Masters is definitely different because you have to kind of learn that golf course, whereas no one learns Southern Hills. You just play it as it turns up. So Cameron Young is certainly going to be, definitely someone that you want to play, Dylan. I think that's a very good call.
Hey, you know what? Colin Morikawa did it right in PGA and an Open Championship.
Yeah. I don't know if he's quite at that level, but he's very, very good. And once he gets that win, I could see him being. Is he going to be as good as Scotty Scheffler? I don't know that he can do that, but he certainly has the ability to go off and get some wins because I don't think he does an awful lot wrong in contention. He's had a couple of chances now and looked pretty solid. It's just been beaten by the better golfer, obviously mainly by Joaquin Niemann at Riviera. So. In terms of long shots, I think there are people at different ends of the scale. I think Keegan Bradley is playing really good golf right now. Can he do it on a Sunday? Probably not. But he's obviously won this major already. Luke List is certainly coming back into form now. If he can putt instead of putting like me and you, Dylan, then he'll probably be okay. He will certainly look to be top 10 and top 20. And then you're kind of looking. Cameron Champ is playing well again. Mito Pereira is obviously always popular. Those guys can hit it the required distance and go. I don't know how far I want to go down. I haven't really decided how far. I know this is a major where we do get some upsets. We do see some outsiders win, but when you look at the last 10 PGA champions, Phil Mickelson was obviously a surprise. But when you look at the runners up, it was Brooks Koepka and Louis Oosthuizen. That's who you expect. 2020, Colin Morikawa beats Paul Casey, Dustin Johnson. 2019, Brooks Koepka beats Dustin Johnson. 2018, Brooks Koepka beats Tiger Woods. 2017, Justin Thomas beats Molinari, Oosthuizen, and Patrick Reed. So as much as it seems like an outsider's event, because we've had some of these other guys kind of win, the Rich Beams, the Sean McKeells, I do think it's fairly obvious who is going to contend. I think it's 18 of the last 25 winners of this event have actually won a tournament already on the season. And whilst it was slightly later in the year normally, I do think that's going to have an impact. So I do think you're going to be looking for people that have already won on the season.
Yeah, because I think it's important if you're playing well. I mean, I think the guys playing this week have got a little bit of an advantage usually, but I'm not a fan of playing the week before a major, but it's a short flight from Texas to Oklahoma. And I
conditions, right? I think that helps. I think just getting used to the heat and acclimatizing that and a bit of wind as well helps.
Yeah, because you're dealing with heat and wind in Texas. And of course, I don't think Tulsa is going to be quite as hot as August, where it would have been like around 100 degrees, but should be windy and a little spicy.
Who would be your favourite bets at the PGA Championship this week? Then I know it's we've just spoken about kind of our favourite names at the top of the market. Is there anyone that kind of stands out to you as someone that you want to bet?
I can't believe Dustin Johnson's 22-1 now.
I think that's huge.
How is DJ 22-1 on the course that fits him?
Everyone just thinks he can't win, right? And it was weird because the only reason I didn't back him last week is because I couldn't believe that Jordan Spieth was the same price, and Jordan Spieth had, just won and was playing in Texas. So he's just not playing as well as people, remember Dustin Johnson playing. But I don't think that's all down to him. I just think that's because the competition is so deep again. So Dustin Johnson makes a lot of sense. What about Will Zalatoris? I know you kind of mentioned him to me the other day on Twitter.
35-1 on Will Zalatoris is interesting. By the way, DJ might have had other things on his mind, like marrying the missus. But
yeah, I mean, what a missus there. He's done all right for himself. So, I don't think he can occupy too many things on his brain at once.
But Will Zalatoris is interesting. I mean, we've seen what he's done in big time tournaments. Tied 6th in the Masters. He's always contending. 2nd at the Farmers. A win's coming for Will Zalatoris. And you know what? Might not be surprising if it's this week. I say this about Will Zalatoris when it comes to every big event, that he hasn't got that PGA Tour victory yet, and people will always hold that against him until he has. But I see no reason why it won't come at a major championship. If anything, it's probably more likely, because I think the tougher the golf course, the better. He's obviously just done, he's just missed the cut at the Byron Nelson, but the way he missed the cut, top 35 in both rounds in strokes gained approach, suggests that his irons are fine. Obviously not good enough in a birdie fest, but I just think he's better suited to these kind of tougher tests, right? And when he does that, he comes to the fore. And Will Zalatoris, I think, is just as likely to win one of these as he is a regular Byron Nelson. Yeah, and we've seen young guys break through in majors. Justin Thomas, Jason Day, especially the PGA. Of course, Colin Morikawa won the 2020 at home in San Francisco.
Yep.
So it seems like the PGA is one where you get a few breakthroughs.
I think, when you think about, obviously, his breakthrough victory didn't come in the event, but Keegan Bradley won the PGA Championship in the same season he got his first win at the Byron Nelson, which is interesting, maybe. That kind of led to that. I just think that when you look at the people that have won PGA Championships, it would be foolish to rule out someone just because they haven't won yet. I think if Keegan Bradley can win it after winning his for the first time at the Byron Nelson, I mean, a roll of a ball here or there for Zalatoris at Torrey Pines, he'd already ticked off that win already. So I think Will Zalatoris has got a very good chance, and I actually prefer him in these tougher tests than I do in a birdie fest that we see on the PGA Tour.
Yep, and the big problem with Keegan Bradley, question with Keegan Bradley is, can he finish? Because everyone wanted him to win last week, and he then came a little short.
He didn't do it, but I'll tell you what I did like about Keegan Bradley is every time he kind of made a mistake, he hit back. The problem was that whenever Max Homa made a mistake, he didn't. And that was the real problem, right? I think in the end, it looks bad because he shot a 72 on the final day and lost by 2. But I think he was better than that. He wasn't as fidgety as he normally is. He kind of got on with his routine a little bit quicker. The form is rock solid. I mean, 8th in Texas, 2nd at the Wells Fargo, 5th at the Players, 11th at Bay Hill, 12th at the Sony, 7th at the Zozo. Like, it's been a really strong season for Keegan Bradley. So top 10 Keegan Bradley, because he probably won't win. We've come to be disappointed by Keegan Bradley. I think Corey Connors, another one that could get himself into the mix, and it just wonders whether he can make enough putts. But in terms of long shots, Dylan, I think Sergio Garcia is playing better again. He's got a decent touch around the greens, and if he can get his putting to work, which it has done this season, I think he's interesting. Other than that, I think it's tough, right? I think it's gonna go to one of these: Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, DJ, Spieth, Rory, like Zalatoris. I think those are the guys that you're really expecting. They were celebrating as Xander Schauffele made cut the other day, so maybe he's got a chance. But
Of course, the week I don't use Xander, he'll probably win.
Yeah, probably. I mean, look, when he had to birdie, what was it, 8 in a row, I think, or 8 of his last 10 holes or whatever it was to just make the weekend, that probably says what you need to know about Xander Schauffele's game at the moment.
A lack of game.
A lack of game. I mean, I think he was his lifeless soul was carried by Patrick Cantlay the other week as well at Zurich. Interesting enough, Dylan, not many people are talking about Hideki Matsuyama for this major, and I think they probably will by the time Monday rolls around, just because he's shown some signs at the Byron Nelson, kind of proving his fitness is the most important thing. So Hideki Matsuyama might be an interesting one as well.
And I feel like this is a course that suits Matsuyama because 27 PGA at Quail Hollow, he was tied second behind JT, and I feel like Quail Hollow is going to be another good course comparison for this week. Obviously, Quail Hollow was a Paul 71. This is a Paul 70, but Quail Hollow went a big renovation for that year's PGA.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it was 2016 and 2017. Hideki Matsuyama had top 5 finishes in the PGA Championship and never missed a cut in this event. That's obviously not enough to say that he's going to win, but it's certainly rock solid for Hideki. So, I like Hideki Matsuyama a lot. I think he's very, very good. Let's look at some trivia for the PGA Championship, Dylan, and they're both going to be centered around 2007. Now, in 2007, I was 14 years of age, and I wasn't necessarily a massive golf fan at this point. I certainly wasn't betting on golf at 14 years of age, so I don't remember this one too well. Tiger Woods won. We know that, Dylan. We know that Tiger Woods won the PGA Championship, but who came second? If you get this is the one that I don't think you're going to get, because this name is not one that I ever think of. It's not one that I think of when Tiger Woods wins majors, and this was the only time he ever contended in the major championship.
Oh gosh. You just took my name. You just took my name from me.
Who did you think it was? Who was the first name?
I was way off the diving board then.
I mean, Ernie Els came in third, if that was someone that you were thinking of.
No, I wasn't thinking of Ernie. I was Where was he from?
He's American as well, which doesn't really help you.
Oh, crap. It would have been better if he would have been from South Africa.
Yeah. It's a tough one, buddy.
You got me thinking. I'm done. Who was?
I'll give you a clue. His first name is the same as a famous Pixar character.
That doesn't help either.
Okay. Woody Austin came second to Tiger Woods.
Of course, Tiger Woods and Woody Austin.
Of course, those are the two. And there was one Englishman that finished inside the top 10 that year. Do you know who that was?
If it's Lee Westwood, I'm leaving.
It's not Lee Westwood, yeah. It was not Lee Westwood. It is not a name that you would think of. They had to shoot a 64 on the final day to even get into level par and tied 6th.
You got me think. Now I've got to look up Englishmen for. I think you stopped me.
You want to know the answer?
Yes.
Simon Dyson.
I definitely wouldn't have known that name.
Look, I wouldn't have got those two answers, which is why I picked them. But let's go with another PGA Championship themed one, which I think you may get. Now, Tiger Woods has got an 88% win record, I think he has, overall in his career when he's led after 54 holes. But he was beat in a PGA Championship after holding the lead. Can you tell me who that was that took that lead away from him?
Wai Yang, 2009.
Wai Yang, indeed. It was Wai Yang, and it was 2009 at Hazeltine. I think he famously whispered to his caddy Wei Yang that Tiger Woods was nervous, which I don't think many people have said too often. So, that was I think there was only 2 times that he ever gave up a lead in the States, or 2 events he's ever given up a lead in America, and they were Tour Championships and PGA Championships. So he had a 2-shot lead over Padraig Harrington and Wei Yang, and Wei Yang came out victorious, which is quite a surprise when you look at how it happened.
Yeah, talk about the unpredictability of PGA. Who would have predicted Wei Yang beating Tiger Woods?
And also, I think the nature of it as well. Tiger Woods shot 75 that day.
Oh, gosh.
Really bad putting week. So, or putting day, should I say. And then Wei Yang set up a birdie on the final hole and made that. And Woods bogeyed and he won by 3. So, really impressive. I think that shows the volatility of this major championship. I do think you're going to see some surprise names, although I've said that, I think the actual winner and second places are going to come out of, names that we know. When you look at the top 10 in Kiowa Island, you had, Bez Wiedenhout was top 5. You had Corey Connors was in there as well, Brandon Grace. 2020 at Harding Park, you had some really interesting names up there. Joel Damon was tied 10th. Maybe the rest of those actually were kind of expected, but Joel Damon was obviously a little bit of a surprise.
Who the heck is Sam Horstfield?
Sam Horstfield is currently in second place at the Soudal Open in Belgium on DP World Tour right now. Sam Horstfield has been touted as a future star for a long time by Ian Poulter, Englishman that lived in Florida, shot 59 at the age of 14, I think it was. So he's got a lot of talent, Sam Horstfield, but he was right up there for a little while. I had a bet on him at last year's PGA Championship, and I think he shot 80 on the second round. So the less said about Sam Horstfield at the PGA, the better. But yeah, it's I think he shot 69 on the first day to sit 2 back of Corey Connors last year, and then I think he fails break 80. So that's Sam Horstfield for you. But it's tough, Dylan. I think it's really, really hard to work out, what we're going to see from the golf course. I think it's just going to be long driving, good chipping. But I think it's going to be really hard to be different to the general consensus, because I think the general consensus is probably right this week.
So ultimately, who wins?
Oh, you've put me on the spot there. Who wins this golf tournament?
You put me on the spot with the trivia.
I did. Who wins this golf tournament? I'm not going to bet him because I don't like. Maybe I will bet him. Justin Thomas.
You stole my guy.
Well, that's good. That means we're aligned. I like that. I mean, we came in with the Tiger Woods hat and the Tiger Woods polo, right? And we're aligned on those. So why not be aligned on the picks as well? He's got to win at some point. The only I suppose. Interesting enough, Dylan, right? So I think that people will say that the Byron Nelson is not a suitable warm-up because it's a birdie fest and then they're going to come to a golf course where they struggle. But for someone like Justin Thomas, just filling up the cup all day with birdies is probably a good way to go into this major championship, whether it's a birdie fest or a tougher event. So, God, I can't believe this is the second year in a second major in a row that we've come on and I've touted Justin Thomas as the winner.
Yeah, I was thinking of saving it for the Open, and I'm like, this course is like Quail Hollow 2017, and who won that week? JT.
Yeah. I mean, I think also, I don't know if this plays into it, but I think that the PGA Championship means a lot to him. He's, his dad is a long-time PGA professional. I think it holds a little bit more credit to him than it does others. I mean, the PGA Championship for a long time was kind of the major no one really cared about winning, which is ridiculous. It's still a major championship. But I'll tell you what, that Open Championship, when we come to talk about that in June or July, that's going to be a hoot, because there's a lot of golfers that can win there, and probably just comes down to the weather draw in the end.
Yeah, it could be 90-mile-an-hour winds or sunny, and the old course is minus 22 again.
Yeah, it could be anything. I think it could be destroyed this year, which I think the golf purists are worried about.
Yeah.
If you before we go off, Dylan, if you had to, I don't know if you've got the DraftKings prices in front of you. If you haven't, just bring those up while I'm talking here. But I'm just looking for some sort of value. Maybe let's just look at guys and just kind of reel off some guys that are under 7K, because I think that people are going to be building those lineups with two of the top best players. So I just kind of want to try and give our listeners and viewers some value down there. We just spoke about Sam Horstfield. He's 6,700. He's playing some good golf right now.
Cameron Champs 6,900.
Yeah.
Sebastian Munoz is doing well this week.
I'm assuming he'll be very popular, Sebastian Munoz, this week.
Yeah, I guess he'll be like 90%. No, he may be somewhat owned.
He will be owned. I'll tell you who would be interesting is Anaban Lahiri is 6,500. He's played well in a PGA Championship before. It wasn't one that we'd necessarily compare to this golf course. I'm just trying to remember. I think it might have been Whistling Straits. I think he played well. Top 5 in 2015. So you tell me that must have been Whistling Straits.
Yeah, that would have been the Jason Day, Jordan Spieth PGA.
Anaban Lahiri was in 4th place after the 2nd round. He was in 8th place after the 3rd round, and then finished in 5th place. Shot 70 or better all week. It was a distance away from Jason Day, but he's playing some really good golf right now, Anaban Lahiri. And, he is a confidence player. Is he long enough? Maybe not, but he's one of those ones that I said. And I think, you're going to see some strange names at the top of this leaderboard, like you always seem to in major championships you don't expect. And 6,500, I think if you're looking for a guy to be the last one into your lineups, why not take someone in his kind of form? To put it into context, he's 6,500 and Yi Yang is 6,300.
Oh gosh, I've got another couple of cheap guys here. We talked about Will Zalatoris, but how about his buddy Davis Riley, 6,800, and Joaquin Niemann's maybe the top Chile golfer from Chile, but am I saying it right? Mito Pereira at 6,700, and again playing well this week.
Yep,
he is sneaky
spot on
guy.
with that pronunciation. And I mentioned,
the problem is with Pereira playing well this week, he'll be popular next week.
He'll be popular. I tell you who might not be popular, Dylan. And I mentioned that Sam Horsefield was second at the Sadao Open. Do you know who's leading the Sadao Open right now?
Shoot.
Ryan Fox is leading the Sadao Open right now.
Oh, God.
Ryan Fox has won the Ras Al Khaimah Classic, then finished 15th, 9th, 8th, and is en route to another victory right now. He is certainly not someone that struggles with distance. Is his chipping and putting going to be good enough? Probably not. That there's a reason why we don't see him on the PGA Tour. But Ryan Fox is playing some really good golf right now, and he's played in 3 PGA Championships, made 2 of the cuts, finished 27th in 2018. Where was it in 2018, Dylan? It was Belle Reve in 2018. So that might not be the worst comparison. 7,300 yard par 70. Ryan Fox, interesting name for you there, I think.
I think that was the birdie fest, because that was the year Brooks and Tiger blitzed the golf.
Yeah, Brooks 16 under, shot a pair of 66s over the weekend. But Ryan Fox, 4 rounds of 70 or better, 3 rounds of 68. Playing very good golf right now.
Interesting. So
same price as Yi Yang.
Oh gosh, if YEA contends this weekend, I'm leaving.
He is the same price as Michael Block.
Oh gosh.
Do you know who Michael Block is?
I'm
guessing he's one of those PGA professionals. He played at Torrey Pines. Guess what? Missed the cut. Shocking. 76.81. So I think I'll take the guy that's probably going to have won twice on the DP World Tour over Michael Block right now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's playing well as well, and I'm just listing names here while we're talking. This is kind of good research for me. at the same time as, we're having our conversation. Juyong Kim. Now, this is a guy that was listed as Tom Kim at one point during the PGA Tour fields. Hasn't done it in PGA Tour events up until this week, where he is actually tied 21st, shot 67-66 in rounds 2 and 3. And Jion Kim has been absolutely electric on the Asian Tour. And we do see sometimes that kind of does translate into some major performances.
Sunday and Hideki.
Yeah, and then I think even going back to the Open Championship, who was the surprise winner of the Open Championship that had been playing on the Japanese Tour?
You're thinking of Todd Hamilton 04?
Todd Hamilton was playing amazing golf on the Asian Tour, right? And he was, I guess, probably a 500 to 1 shot to win the Open Championship, won it. So I think that sometimes this form is not looked at. Let's just look at Jion Kim's results. 2022, he won the Singapore International Open, was his first. The Singapore International was his first tournament of the year. He won that. Then he finished second at the Singapore Open, which I think Paul Casey played in and finished 16th or something. So he was second there. Then he finishes 45th at the Saudi, not great. 7th, 23rd, miscut, 2nd, 4th, 5th. And he is now currently inside or coming up to the top 20 at the Byron Nelson. World number 71, Jion Kim, is 6,300 on DraftKings. Could be an interesting name just to make the cut.
Yeah, I didn't think we would look up like the $6,300 golfers. So, Tom, thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for your expertise and your knowledge on cheap golfers from all
strange golfers from the world that no one wants to play. Yeah, I'm glad I can bring that to the fore for you, buddy.
And we wish you bets well, and we'll talk soon.
We will talk soon, bud. Thank you.